Sternberg's triangular theory of love. So, the basic idea here is that love is comprised of three elements: intimacy, passion, and commitment. So, intimacy is the warm component that holds the triangle together. It is pertaining to emotional attachment. So, when people use the word intimacy, they typically think something sexual, but that's not actually what that means. It's about emotions, attachment, disclosures that you make to other people. Um, it is moderately stable and controllable over time. So, hopefully, at some point, you and your relational partner get to a level of intimacy you are both comfortable with, and you have the ability to back off or push forward. I binge watched, what is it? Love is Blind. I was like, blinded by love. That's not it. I binge watched Love is Blind, and it was very interesting to see how the intimacy developed between relational partners. Some people, they just dove right in, and that worked for them. Other people, it took them a little bit longer, but they eventually got there. Um, Very interesting to watch. It's on Netflix. My friend let me use her account. She was like, watch this. I was like, okay. Um, Another thing about intimacy, there is latent and manifest forms of intimacy. So the latent forms, those are all the fun thoughts that we have in our head. Thoughts, feelings, feeling very close to this person, like you could tell them anything. Whereas manifest forms of intimacy are acts that are observable by other people. So they are able to tell, oh, they feel intimate towards one another. Groovy. Awesome. So, intimacy, the warm component of the triangle of love. The second component is passion, also known as the hot component. And this is based on motivation. So, the motivation to see another individual, typically there's a lot of passion here. I mean, it's called passion, so that would make sense. Doesn't always have to be sexual and physical, but it often is. But it can also be just wanting to be in the same physical space as someone else. So, keep that in mind. But this is the most unstable aspect of the triangle of love. And it's the most uncontrollable. So, someone walks up to me and I can't just magically conjure passion. Like, if it's not there, it's not there. However, some people, like me, um, when there's more intimacy involved and an emotional attachment is there, passion can arise from that. But it's not necessarily something you can just conjure up on your own. So first two, we've got the warm component, which is intimacy, the hot component, which is passion, and then we got the cool component, which is commitment. So here you make a cognitive choice to stay in this relationship, to continue contacting this individual, to invest time and energy into that relationship. This is again operating on the assumption that the individual has some agency. So in intimate partner terrorism situations, if someone leaves, they could literally be killed. So commitment, not really a cognitive choice, more like a survival mode. And a less depressing one would be siblings, right? So 5-year-old kid hates 8-year-old sibling. Can't necessarily be like, well, I'm not committed to this relationship anymore, and just not talk to them for 10 years. I mean, they could, but the child is very unlikely to emancipate themselves and no longer have to have contact. But most situations, commitment is a cognitive choice. It's a decision that you make. It is also the most stable and most controllable element of Sternberg's triangular theory of love. It's based on trust, loyalty, and faithfulness. Sometimes even when those aren't there, people still are committed. That's for your psychology class and not your communication class. I know, I'm just so lovely. So we have this lovely triangle, intimacy being our glue, binding us together. So there are different types of love. Liking, not quite love, liking involves intimacy. So there's some sort of emotional attachment, like you feel positively towards the person. You're not like, oh my gosh, I need to see them, or oh my gosh, can't wait till we get together next. The commitment's not there, the passion's not there. You're just like, yeah, okay, yeah, I enjoy their presence when they're around. We also have intimacy plus friendship. So, and by that I meant intimacy plus commitment equals friendship love. I also like that my sofa randomly keeps popping up in the background, so that's great. Friendship love has intimacy and commitment. And I bring this up because it makes me think of, you can have people that you would consider your friends, or as some people would say, associates, where there's only some level of intimacy. But with the friendship component, you have the commitment to continue seeing them. And that differentiates associates with friends or close friends. This type of relationship can also be seen in romantic relationships with the presence of intimacy and commitment. But romantic love is typically categorized with intimacy and passion. Couch. It's just funny to me. So this is what we typically think about when we say people are in love. There's the intimacy component. You know a lot about this person. There's a strong emotional attachment. And there's passion. There's a desire to see them. You're going to make it happen. And you're going to, as Marvin Gaye would say, get it on. You would. Just saying. So when the intimacy component is missing from passion, right? So romantic love has intimacy and passion. When it's just passion, that is called infatuation. Common for, the idea of love at first sight. You have an immense desire to be close to that person, oftentimes engage in sexy time activities with that person, but it does not necessarily lead to liking. So you can be completely infatuated with someone and then the next day, boom, no mas, no longer infatuated. So again, as I said earlier, very unstable characteristic, not terribly controllable. The saddest form of love to me is empty love. I mean, the name in itself is just so sad. But this is basically where there's only commitment. Only commitment. It's just so sad to me. The common type of situation I think of is when people have been married for decades and then their kids move out of the house and they realize that they have nothing in common anymore, but they've been together so long, they're just going to stick with it. I think that's really sad. I know that I have relatives in that situation, with the financial component coming into play there, that financially they just couldn't afford to divorce. Divorce is expensive. Cost of living continues to go up. It's one reason why people stay together. Another possible situation where there could be empty love, right? So commitment is the number one, is in arranged marriages. More so what Western cultures think of arranged marriages. So typically the people involved, the people getting married, do have some say. But so for example, my friend Murtada, love him dearly. He had an arranged marriage. He knew he had one when he was living here, when he knew when he moved back to Saudi Arabia, it would happen. He wasn't thrilled about it, but he was committed to it because it was his cultural expectation. And so when he met his now wife, there was commitment in play. But intimacy wasn't there, passion wasn't there. However, happy story. Now all three elements are there. So there's the commitment, the intimacy, and the passion, and that is consummate love. So the the idea of consummate love is kind of an old ideology where at this point you have gotten to know your partner, so you have intimacy, emotional attachment, you have passion, but it's been limited passion because in the old days, during courtship, people had escorts. And so like your parents might be out on a date with you, your uncle might be out on a date with you, sibling, whatever it may be. So you couldn't get it on if you wanted to, basically what I'm getting at. But commitment was there. So the passion component is the consummating the marriage component, meaning you got it on. Though I don't explicitly ask about Murtada's sex life, he does have a baby on the way, so I'm assuming that the marriage was consummated. I'm so excited. I mean, he's excited too, and it's important because it would be his kid, but I'm just happy for him that ultimately it worked out. He really adores his wife, committed to her. They're learning a lot about each other still. And obviously some passion was present at some point. But again, this is Sternberg's triangular theory of love. So it's a theory. It doesn't mean this is the way that love is, but it's an idea. It's a conceptualization of love. So quick review, we have intimacy, passion, and commitment. Those are the signs of the triangle of love. How's COVID-19 treating you all? You doing good? You doing good? Okay. Yeah, that's where I'm at with it too. Very good. Okay, so Sternberg's triangular theory of love. Hope you enjoyed the video, or at least, found it to be educational, because that's what it's supposed to be. Bye.